Hello, everybody. This is Pat Farber, and welcome to Red Flash SportsBeat, where you will find out all the goings-ons in Red Flash fall sports, as well as winter sports, as some of those are getting underway. And first, we're going to hear on how the men's cross-country team fared at the NEC Championships last weekend up at Central Connecticut State. Correspondent Hunter Becker is here to fill us in on the performances of the men's and women's cross-country programs.
Hey, Pat. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for reporting on the cross program.
Absolutely. Well, let's get running with it then, if you will. So both our men's and women's cross-country teams just competed in the NEC Championships this past weekend. The boys team secured a fourth-place finish out of the 11 member institutions in the NEC, while the girls were able to crack a top three finish. That was their third top three finish of the year, actually. So as an overview, I guess you could say the boys had a bit of an up and down season. They saw two first-place finishes at both the Father Beat Invitational here in Loretto and the Gettysburg College Invitational. However, they also suffered two last-place finishes at the Harry Grove Spike Shoe Invitational up at Penn State and the St. Vincent College Invite out in Latrobe. The girls' season was just as sporadic, so to say, if you will. They recorded a first and a second place finish at the Father Beat Invitational and the Gettysburg Invitational, respectively. But they also suffered last place finishes with the boys at the Harry Grove Spike Shoe Invitational up at Penn State and the St. Vincent College Invite. So for the championships this past weekend, the men did secure a fourth place finish out of the 11 teams. They finished with a final score of 75 points, which was 1 point behind the defending champ, Mount St. Mary's. The top runner for St. Francis was sophomore from Upper Dauphin High School, who placed 8th out of 89 runners. That was Brendan Miller with a final time of 26 minutes and 7/10 of a second. St. Francis then had three consecutive runners: Colin Kelly from West Scranton, Griffin Molino from South Williamsport, and Ian Gobig from my hometown, Camp Hill, finish at 14th, 15th, and 16th place with times of 26 minutes and 14.3 seconds, 26 minutes and 14.5 seconds, and 26 minutes and 18 seconds, respectively. And then junior Ian Lauver came in at 22nd with a time of 26 minutes and 49 seconds. The girls' team had a stellar performance, finishing third out of the 11 competing NEC institutions with a final score of 85. Senior Laura Roth, who hails from Central Bucks West High School, led the way for the Red Flash women's team with a time of roughly 18 minutes and 14 seconds, which earned her a 7th place finish. That was 19 places higher than her 26th place finish last year, so a huge improvement for Laura. They also had three other finishers in the top 20. Junior Madison Wright out of Eaton, Ohio, secured an 11th place finish with a time of 18 minutes and 45 seconds. Senior Carrie Jaskowak out of Grove City finished in 16th place with a time of 18 minutes and 45 seconds. And sophomore Shannon Cody rounded out the girls with a 20th place finish in 19 minutes and 6 seconds, which was good for a 6-spot finish increase from her rookie season last year. So next up for both of these teams is the NCAA Mid-Atlantic Regionals, Friday, November 15th. The boys are hoping to improve on their 17th place finish from last year, and the girls are hoping to improve on their 20th place finish.
Thanks, Hunter. And I was talking to Colin Kelly earlier today, one of the performers who you just mentioned. They're at Lehigh, and he indicated possibly a top 13 to 14 finish, and that would be a nice capper. I know that there was some disappointment in terms of the overall team finish from the championships, the conference championships, but I would think that would be a strong showing if they could get into the top 13 or 14 out in Lehigh at the Mid-Atlantic Regionals.
Absolutely, I agree. They definitely showed a lot of promise this year. They showed they can compete with the top teams in the NCAA in some of their competitions. It's just a matter for them of stringing it together, which they're definitely capable of.
And Central was tough on the women's side. They had a very good team. We were hurt with the loss of one of our top runners who did not compete. So a third place finish, respectable on the women's side for Doug Hoover's team.
Yeah, absolutely. Very respectable finish for them. As you said, they didn't have their top runner. So easily I could see them improving on their 20th place finish from last year, especially with Laura Roth leading the way, who's had a massive jump this year in her performance. As I said, jumping up 19 places from her finish last year in the NEC Championship. So definitely a very strong showing for the women's team, and definitely something they can improve upon for the Mid-Atlantics.
That was reporter Hunter Becker reporting on the cross-country team's performance at the championships a week ago. Now we'll turn our attention to field hockey, and Chris Cropper is covering the field hockey team. They closed out the season over the weekend. Chris has all of the information with regards to our field hockey update. Chris?
Thanks, Pat. I want to start off by saying field hockey didn't have such a good season this year. They finished with a record of 5-14. Their first 7 games, they went on a 7-game losing streak, then had a sense of hope by turning around, winning 3 games at home. Most of their wins came in overtime. I think 3 of their 5 wins came in overtime. I think next year they need to focus more on finishing games, because most of their games came down to a close score. I want to talk about Taylor Lehman. She was second in the country in defensive saves. She also had 2 goals and 2 assists this season. They won their first 3 home games. Goals. Their goal is number 1. Their goalie is number 1 in saves per nation. It is hard to get the ball. It is hard for the St. Francis Red Flash to get the ball to the offensive side of the field and then to stay on the offensive side of the field, mainly because they play with an extra defender and only 2 forwards. Their top 2 forwards that they play with is Taylor Nesmith. She was an offensive player of the week once this year, and Sharon Kariki, who scored a game-winning overtime goal this year.
Yeah, it was a great season for Taylor Nesmith. She really turned it on. And then one of the big differences as we look ahead to next year is the team will be rejoining the Northeast Conference. They competed in the Atlantic 10 Conference as an affiliate member for a number of years, but they will be making the move to the Northeast Conference, which is the conference in which most of St. Francis University's programs compete, virtually all of them, with the exception of men's volleyball, which is in the Eastern Intercollegiate Volleyball Association. Field hockey now coming back to the NEC. Do you think, Chris, that is a move that we could see SFU find a little more success in the NEC? Is it or is it a lateral move, and you think it'll be not that much of a difference in terms of the challenge that's presented by the competition?
Yeah, me personally, I think it's a good move for the field hockey team. I think they'll be able to match up and compete better with the NEC teams. They showed that this year as they played a few. And I was talking to a couple of field hockey players, and they feel like once they get into the NEC, they'll be able to improve more and be better on both sides of the ball.
Well, they closed the season with the win over St. Louis here at home. So that was a promising close to the year, and hopefully they'll carry that momentum into the 2020 season. I want to thank Chris for his report on field hockey. Now we're going to move to the soccer pitch, and Amelia Laudenbach has our report on the women's soccer program. They also finish with some success down the stretch. Unfortunately, don't make the postseason, but Millie, a lot of talent coming back, and hopefully they can carry momentum like the field hockey program into 2020.
Yeah, so the Red Flash women's soccer team had a successful weekend against the St. Francis Brooklyn team. The Flash hosted their final game and honoured their seniors, which included 3 of their crucial players. They were recognised for their impact within the team and off the field as well. So the Red Flash took on the Terriers in the first ever matchup between the schools at the Loretto Soccerplex on Sunday the 3rd of November. The Flash took on the win with a hefty 4-0 victory, which was the highest they had scored in a single game this season, and capped off their season with a top 5 finish in the Northeast Conference. The Flash had a 6-4-0 record in conference play. The Terriers closed their season, which was their first ever season, as the team is the 10th and final conference member to join the NECs in the 2019 season. The Terriers closed their season with a 0-10-0 record in conference play. SFU honoured the 3 seniors before the match. The trio, all Pennsylvania natives, goalkeeper Julia Hernan from Collegeville, forward Alyssa McGee from Altoona, and lastly, forward Abigail Tarosky from North Huntington. The three have all had impressive careers at SFU, with all of them featuring in the record books. Hernan recorded a program best of 25 clean sheets and currently ranks second in the nation in the career saves with 414. She also served as one of the team captains for this season. McGee ranks second in program history with 85 points and ties fourth with 31 career goals. She leads the NEC with 12 goals and 4 game-winning goals for the 2019 season. Trotsky ranks third on the team this season with 4 assists. She also served as one of the team captains. A surplus of talent from the senior class helped the Flash in their 2016-17 and 2017-18 campaigns, where they took out the NEC title. In the matchup with the Terriers, Mariana Jeleca, the forward from Sebastopol, Portugal, recorded a season high of 3 assists during the game, which is the most made by a player in a single game this season. McGee, the now 4-time 2019 NEC Player of the Week, scored 2 goals to help the Flash destroy the Terriers. The first was scored in the 11th minute, which was quickly followed by her second goal of the game in the 12th minute off Jeleca's assists. The Flash entered the second half with a 2-goal advantage over the scoreless Terriers. However, the margin was only increased with a goal in the 53rd minute by Tarosky off a penalty kick. The lead was inched up one more, with a goal from Cameron Torrado, the junior forward from Deptford, New Jersey, in the 59th minute. She was also assisted by Jeleca. Across the game against the Terriers, SFU had the majority of the possession and held a 25-7 advantage in shots. The Flash had 11 shots on goal in comparison to just 3 shots on goal by the opponent. The 4 goals scored were the most scored by the Flash in a single game this season. SFU had a trying season as it was filled with transitions, as a new head coach and assistant coach were appointed for the 1920 season. Ellie Davis was named head coach in July and precedes Brenda Van Stralen, who led the Flash to 4 NEC tournament wins and 7 total final appearances. Davis hired assistant coach Frankie Lamana in mid-August. For the first time since 2009, SFU was eliminated from contention in the NEC Championships. So they ended up finishing their season with a successful win over the weekend, which placed them in 5th overall.
And, I mean, anytime you have a new coach, Davis takes over for the highly successful Brenda Van Stralen, you're going to have that transition. This team's been very successful. I would think there probably is some disappointment on not qualifying for that NEC tournament after so many years of being right there on the winning championships, but certainly qualifying for that tournament.
Yeah, definitely. It would have been tough, especially, because they have been so successful. And, I think they all had a pretty close relationship with the previous coach, and it was something that obviously they built over so many years. So, yeah, getting a new coach would be pretty tough at this point in the season as well.
And a big loss, Alyssa McGee, everything that she has brought to that team. You mentioned 4 Player of the Week honors this season, and she has been a mainstay on the pitch for the program throughout her collegiate career. That'll be a big void to fill moving ahead to 2020.
Yeah, well, leading the NEC is, quite a big deal with goals. So, yeah, that'll be quite a loss to see.
Well, it's good to finish on a positive. St. Francis College, a new program. You don't want to put too much into the dominating win, given they're a first-year program, but something positive to carry into next season. Millie, thank you for the women's soccer update. Now we'll turn to the men's soccer report. And Damian Runk, a lot of excitement percolating on the men's side. Still a shot at hosting the Northeast Conference Tournament. They've been so close to capturing that first ever NEC championship. The women have been very successful and have put some trophies in the trophy case. The men are looking to do that this year, and they're in a good position right now, Damian, to make a run at this thing.
Oh yeah, Pat. Happy to be here talking about men's soccer today. So yeah, you're right. We are currently nearing the end of the 2019 regular season, and the Northeast Conference playoffs, they're just around the corner. So today my report's going to be a brief thoughts on the season so far, overall, mostly an overview of the team's latest match against the Mountaineers of Mount St. Mary's, and a look at what's to come for next week and for the Northeast Conference playoffs. So I'll begin. So this year has been a season of ups and downs for the Red Flash. They started out losing to Siena College men's team, and throughout the year they've been bouncing back and forth between wins and losses. They've had some few winning streaks, but as of right now, their current record is 9 wins, 5 losses, and and 6-2-0 for the NEC. The entire team has worked hard through the entire regular season, but I'd say one standout player would have to be Luca Rosa. He's currently the team's leading scorer and is honestly a contender for Player of the Year, and he is Player of the Week. He's been someone to be looking forward to, and definitely someone that they should be looking at in these important weeks coming forward. So now on to the St. Mary's game. So the Red Flash came to this game off the back of a 1-0 win against Sacred Heart, and it seems that that victorious momentum has brought them from the last game, has carried over to this match, because once again the Red Flash came out triumphant against the Mountaineers in another 1-0 victory. St. Francis junior midfielder Luca Rosa, who we already discussed, is the catalyst for this win, as he was the one to score the goal in double overtime, which is the Red Flash's second overtime match of the season and the first since the 3-2 overtime defeat at LIU on September 27th. Rosa's game-winning goal, this is his 10th of the season and his 15th goal of his SFU career. Rosa's goal was his NEC best 5th game winner of the season, and Rosa's score also happened, it was of course the only score during the match, because of course they shut them out. Head coach Frank Olszewski was quoted saying, "The Mountaineers gave us a good fight all night, and he's proud of his team. He's glad they could trust him. They could trust each other to fulfill their roles, and in the end, it was a special play from a special player, and they're still getting ready to improve and move on to the next game." Other notable game leaders, I believe, were the goalkeeper Jonas DeSealer, forward Felix Tone, defender Brandon Ott, and midfielder Lucas Canio. Of course, the entire team did extremely well, and they all earned this victory this hard-fought victory. St. Francis held a 21-18 average in shots, and the Red Flash led in 7-1 shots on the goal. So looking at next week, the Red Flash are going to play against Robert Morris for the Red Flash's Senior Day game at the Stoke Soccerplex November 10th at 1 p.m. If the Red Flash defeat Robert Morris, then they will move on into the Northeast Conference Championship semifinals. St. Francis remains in second place in the NEC standings with 18 points and will host. And if they win against Robert Morris, they will have the opportunity to host the NEC semifinals at Stoke Soccerplex. The Red Flash are second only to Merrimack, who sit on top of the league with 21 points. And although Merrimack is in first place, they cannot host this semifinals due to the fact they have transitioned from Division 3 to Division 1 athletics. So here's hoping that the Red Flash can keep up this winning streak, make it a 3-for-3, and make it all the way to the championship. As always, we are proud of our team, and we're rooting for you, Flash. Well, that wraps up my report. Thank you to everyone for listening to the rundown of the Red Flash men's soccer team. Back to you, Pat.
And you've seen this soccer team in action. The Duquesne game we saw, they handed Duquesne their first loss of the year. Do you think that they have a talent pool assembled that they could finally put that NEC championship trophy in the trophy case down at Stokes?
I mean, I'm hoping for our team, but yeah, I think we have the talent. We've had a lot of hard work this season. I think Lucas Rosa is definitely a key factor into that. His talent has been on display throughout several games, especially this recent one. I just think it all comes down to can they come together? Can they make another victory? I'm hoping.
Mm-hmm. And I would think, again, Merrimack undefeated in the league, but Flash at 6-2. I would think Rosa has to be a candidate, or at least in the conversation for Northeast Conference Player of the Year. He has just such a difference maker on the field. You have to contend with where he is on the pitch all 90 minutes because he is a dynamite playmaker.
Oh, yeah. He is he won the game for them last time, double overtime. He's an incredible player, and I definitely say he deserved Player of the Year for all of his hard work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, and hopefully, as you mentioned, Damien, have RMU here this weekend. We get some fans to come out to support the team and cheer on those seniors as they make at least their last regular season home appearance. Hopefully, not their last action, is a real good shot at hosting the NEC Championship Tournament. Thank you, Damien, for that report.
Thank you.
So now we'll turn it over to Yo Sagano. He is a member of the Red Flash football team, and he is going to run down how the football team's faring heading into their final 3 games. Coming off, a tough game at Duquesne, a game that lots of chances for the Flash, but unable to come away on top against the Dukes.
Thank you, Pat. St. Francis University Red Flash football team fought with defending champion Duquesne last Saturday. It was a very tough game, and Red Flash was defeated by 21-30. With this win, Duquesne's Jerry Schmidt collected his 98th win at Duquesne's, passing Greg Gattuso for the most win in program history and becomes the best coach in their program history. Duquesne also extended the record of all wins in the conference this season, getting closer to conference championship. In this game, Duquesne marched down the field on its opening drive, but sophomore linebacker Brian Lee Jr. put an abrupt end to drive by jumping in front of pass at the goal line and returning it 65 yards into Duquesne's territory. This interception was Brian Lee's first interception of his college career. Also, on the offensive side of the ball, Redshirt Jr. Rishon Harry followed up his 196-yard performance from last week with 11 catches for 183 yards and 2 touchdowns this weekend. And Redshirt sophomore quarterback Jason Brown notched his 3rd consecutive game with 3 touchdown passes in the loss. Looking back at the whole game, the Red Flash offense earned 301 total offensive yard with a 23 running yard and 278 passing yards. Also, Red Flash gave up only 1 interception in the game. As you heard, the Red Flash offense did a very good job last Saturday. However, it is also true that they left challenges to overcome for the next game, such as their poor running game that resulted in only getting 4 out of 12 third-down conversion. In my opinion, the reason why they could not play well for running play is injury. At the last game, Red Flash had a several injury guy, especially offensive side. So it is going to be big challenges for Red Flash next week. On the other hand, the Red Flash defense gave up total of 393 offensive yards with 168 running yards and 221 passing yards to the Duquesne's offense. For Red Flash defense, this game left many challenges for both run and pass defense. But anyway, Red Flash is going to battle CCSU next Saturday. CCSU is doing very well this season. Their overall record is 8-1 and the conference result is 4-0. In CCSU's last game against Wagner, which they won by 27-13, their offense got 279 total offensive yards. So this strong offense is going to be big challenge for Red Flash defense. And CCSU's defense only allowed 182 yards for whole game. And especially CCSU's run defense was great. In their last game, their run defense score is negative 226 yards. Since Red Flash's run offense was not good last Saturday, it is going to be a huge challenge for Red Flash offense. So, as I said, next game is going to be a big challenge for Red Flash football team. But I think they are going to overcome these challenges and beat CCSU next weekend. Thank you for listening, everyone.
And that's a big matchup with the injuries to the St. Francis running game, and as good as the Blue Devils are against the rush, St. Francis is going to have some balance because we've had Rashawn Henry emerging as a good receiver. E.J. Jenkins has been a good receiver throughout the season. Caught a touchdown on his birthday out at Duquesne, so that was nice. And he was actually shaken up in a play, helmet-to-helmet collision. Fortunately, he came back into the game. But I would think, guessing you agree with me, we got to run the ball better if we want to win against Central.
I think so too.
Yeah, and defensively has played well. Again, gave up the 31 points a week ago, but Dejon Lee's been very, very good. He has been the player that we expect. Number 19 has been as dominant as he has throughout his career, and fans just a few more chances to see Dejon play, and he's special.
Yeah, he's special.
Yeah, special kind of player. And the one thing, per my observation, I want to get your assessment. If the Flash could just clean up, one or two areas, it seems that we're making mistakes on special teams. We weren't able to get the running game established. The penalties, both offensive and defensively. But if we would have cleaned even one of those areas up, that Duquesne game could have gone the other way.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Special team is gonna be a huge problem for us right now because for last two home game, we lost by a field goal.
Yeah.
Yes.
In overtime.
Yeah, in overtime. So.
And then we missed one after Brian picked off that pass, as you mentioned, the first of his career. Then Jason Brown takes us down. But again, we failed to grab momentum. We missed that field goal. And those kinds of things can come back and hurt you. You get that field goal, and then when it's late in the game, instead of needing 2 scores, you only have to go down and get 1. Yeah, well, I know you're working hard on your position on the defense, and we wish you and your teammates all the best up at Central Connecticut State.
Thank you.
Thanks, Yo. Thanks for that update.
Thank you.
All right, let's turn it over to Cam Tirado, and we heard her name earlier. As Millie mentioned, she did get a goal in that game against St. Francis College. So, Cam, first off, congratulations on the win over St. Francis College, as well as getting in the scoring column. I know before we get to your report on the swim team, not where you wanted to be, but a good closeout with a win on senior day here at home.
Yeah, I mean, the season didn't go exactly how we wanted it, but I think the final win on Sunday, that was a good way to end the season, so we were all happy about that.
Carry some positive energy into the postseason. And just one question before we get to your report. A new coach, as you went under Ellie Davis this year, how did you feel that transition process went over the course of the year under your new head coach?
So the transition process was actually really quick. We didn't know who the head coach was until 2 weeks before reporting for preseason. So with meeting her and getting everything figured out, it took a little bit of time. But once we got into that transition, I think we all did a pretty good job. And I think she did her best with meeting us for the first time, coaching us for the first time, and I mean, we struggled a little bit, but, it was, her first season. So, now, she knows what to expect. We know what to expect for her, and hopefully in the future we'll get things straightened out and hopefully make it to the playoffs next year.
Yeah, well, that's somewhere we've been regularly, and will be nice to get back there, hopefully in 2020. All right, let's talk swimming, Cam. Let us know how the team fared up at LIU. Actually, the second time they faced the Sharks already in the 2019-20 season.
Yes, and they won both times, actually. So they won previously, and they won on Saturday. So the swim team was on fire, and they're on a winning streak of 4. Their overall record is 4-1, which is fantastic. Like I said before, they faced LIU on Saturday for the second time. They had a great win of 160-92 against the Sharks. The swim team had 10 first-place finishers out of 14 events. So starting off the swim meet, St. Francis came ready right off the top and came in first and second in the 200-yard medley relay. The first-place finishers included sophomores Amelia Lundenbach, Annabelle McCall, freshman Krista Wick, and senior Sabrina Bowman, with a time of 1:49.67. And second, with a time of 1:51.22, junior Erska Mesvik, senior Erin O'Neill, sophomore Rebecca Peddleton, and junior Caitlin O'Connor. In the 200-yard freestyle, senior Carolyn Kwan from Arizona came out on top with a time of 1:59.50. Right behind her was freshman Zoe Wilson from Pennsylvania, who swam a time of 2:01.92. Pendleton also came in first with a time of 2:13.19 in the 200-yard butterfly, as well as the 100-yard butterfly in a quick time of 59.98. Rebecca had a very impressive day. Seniors Bowman and O'Neill came in first and second in the 50-yard freestyle with fast times of 24.58 and 25.42. In the 100-yard freestyle, Nicole placed first with a time of 53.75. The Red Flash dominated in the 200-yard breaststroke, placing first, second, and third. And first came senior Kwan with a time of 2:12.02. Second, Medsvik and with a time of 2:13.38. And then third, junior Jessica Rupp swam a time of 2:15.25. In the 500-yard freestyle, London Beck placed first with a time of 5:15.98, which was a personal record of hers, and it was 2 seconds off the time before. Julia Springer, a freshman, came in third and also had a personal record of 11:18.58. The last event of the meet was the 400-yard freestyle relay, where the Red Flash finished strong. The team consisted of O'Connor, Nicole, Toth, and Kwan, and they placed first over the Sharks. The team swam a time of 3:40.11. It was a very close race. The Sharks were right behind them with a time of 3:41.19, but the Red Flash seemed to pull through and finish on top. The Red Flash next match isn't until the end of the month, which is November 22nd through the 24th. They will be traveling to Lynchburg, Virginia to compete against Liberty. We want to wish the swim team a good luck and hope they can keep their winning streak up.
And that'll be another match against Liberty, like they played LIU twice. Actually, the lone home match of the year was earlier this season against Liberty. Interestingly, the first match fans of the season against the Flames was actually Senior Day because they have just the one home match. And this team, like your team, Cam, under a first-year head coach, Coach Hurley, trying to put his stamp on the swim team. We heard from Millie Laudenbach, her report earlier on the women's soccer team, and then you got the chance to talk about Millie, and she's swimming well, so we wish her and her teammates all the best. Get a little bit of a break now as they look forward to traveling down to Lynchburg to take on the Flames in their next match. Thanks, Cam. Enjoy a little bit of a break after your soccer season, but the training will begin soon, I'm sure, and thanks for your swim report.
Yes, thank you, Pat.
All right, we're going to turn it over to Colin Washington. He is our volleyball correspondent, and it's been a rough year, Colin, in a lot of ways for volleyball. The wins have been infrequent, and headed down the stretch. Hopefully, they can generate a little momentum going into the off season, as we talked about with some of our other teams.
Yes, as you said, it has been a tough season. They're 3-21 right now, and 3-9 in conference. This past weekend, they took on Sacred Heart and Bryant. Sacred Heart is 14-10 and 9-2 in the NEC, and Bryant is 15-14 and 10-3 in the NEC. First, they took on Sacred Heart. Sacred Heart actually leads the all-time series 15-8, and St. Francis' last win was in 2017 in September. They had some great performances from senior Cecilia Esposito. She had 5 blocks on Friday. And junior Shannon Thomas had 4 blocks and a team high 23 assists. Sophomore Maddie Tyus had a team high of 9 kills. In the first and third set, though, they did show some promise and were able to close some gaps, but unfortunately weren't able to close out at the end. Versus Bryant leads the series 12-11, and St. Francis last time beating them was November 14th, 2017, sophomore Nicole Adams and Maddie Tyus again had some good games. Nicole had 13 kills and 17 digs, and Maddie Tyus had 11 kills and 11 digs. The Red Flash took Bryant to 4 sets. In the third set, they were able to win 12-25. All the sets were 12-25, 18-25, 25-22 was the third set that they won, and they ended up losing the last set 16-25. The turning point in the third set was when Maddie Tyus got a kill to make the game 13-12. After that, the Flash pulled away, but Bryant ended up closing the gap toward the end of the game, making it 21-20. And then 4 of the last 5 points, St. Francis scored. And then, unfortunately, in the fourth set, they weren't able to get the win. Next up, the Flash will host St. Francis Brooklyn on November 8th. They hope to split the season series with them as they lost the first one.
I mean, one of the bright spots, it has been a long year. The sweep of Merrimack, of course, highlighting the season. But one good thing is, at least they're taking teams deeper. There are a lot of 3-0 losses early on the schedule. 4 and 5 match sets, which is some progress.
Yeah, it is.
And Maddie Tyus coming on. Hopefully, based on your look at their program, I would think she would have a chance at perhaps earning Northeast Conference honors in the postseason. Your thoughts?
I think she will if she continues to perform the way she has been. Last 2 games she had pretty good games. So
yeah, it's just a matter of are they going to look at are they going to give people credit from a team that has really struggled in the win-loss column?
Right.
That's always a question as to awarding postseason honors. So a couple of chances to see the volleyball team. They'll have their senior day, as Colin mentioned, this weekend, home on the 8th and 9th for a couple of matches here at Stokes. Colin, thank you.
Thank you,
for
Pat.
your report. All right, the last report, it's not on the fall sports programs, but it is previewing basketball. And as we record this, the men's and women's basketball teams just got their 1920 seasons underway, both down in Virginia. And here to report on that is Derek Wiley. Derek?
How you doing, Pat?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
How's
Thanks
that knee feeling?
A little bit better. We take it day by day,
Derek is one of those running backs that Yosuke and I were just talking about as we were really handicapped without a lot of backs in our stable against Duquesne, and we hope to see you out on the field again soon. You really showed some glimpses of some, the future looks very bright for you.
Thank you.
Some really nice runs in the earlier games this season.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, hopefully we do something better in the future. So, but to start things off with the women's side of things, women's basketball will be having a new first-year head coach, Kayla Whittington, who has big plans for this Red Flash basketball team and 7 newcomers. Whittington is the 8th women's basketball coach in St. Francis women's basketball history. The Red Flash is a choice favorite in the conference this year, being selected as as the number 2 team in the Northeastern Conference. The women's Red Flash will also have big shoes to fill following the graduation of Jess Kovac, who is currently the NEC's all-time leading scorer. On that note, the Flash will still have 3 returning starters. New Jerseyan from Rumson Fairhaven, Sam Sabina, who is a returning team captain and former transfer from the University of New Hampshire, junior guard Carson Swagger of Bellwood, PA, and junior forward Haley Thomas of Bishop McCourt, PA, who was second in scoring last season behind Kovac. Thomas also averaged 9.5 points and 6.1 rebounds per game. Whittington looks to have a strong offense, claiming that scoring opportunities will be given to everyone, but she plans to focus more on defense. The women's Red Flash opens the season at Virginia Tech on Tuesday, November 5th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, which is today. The home opener is set for November 12th at 11 a.m. versus Seton Hill.
Yeah, the interesting time, 11 a.m. They do that to allow students to come from area schools. So that was not Derek did not misspeak there. It is an 11 a.m. game, fans, on a Tuesday morning. And again, that's an event to let the students come over and enjoy, take in some Red Flash hoops.
Yeah, that will also be an exhibition game,
right?
Not counting towards conference play. Moving on to St. Francis men's basketball squad, the Red Flash team is known to be very consistent and has a few weapons to look out for. Rob Krimmel is also confident in his team and points out the fact that he has a very versatile team with a lot of experience. Last season, the Red Flash hosted the NEC Championship but fell short to Fairleigh Dickinson. The Flash has won 35 games since the start of the 2017 season. It was the Flash's second appearance in the championship game in the past 3 seasons. The Red Flash also will have NEC Player of the Year Keith Braxton returning. Braxton is also the lead scorer on the Flash's team, scoring 16 points, or averaging 16 points per game, and led the NEC in rebounding, averaging 9.8 rebounds per game. Braxton is ranked 9th in St. Francis history in career scoring history and has the chance to become the first repeat NEC Player of the Year, but Braxton isn't the only established player on this Red Flash team. Senior 1,000-point scorer and guard Isaiah Blackman will also be returning. Blackman was 3rd on the team in scoring in the 2019 and 2020 season, even after tearing his ACL a second time. Blackman is known to have 4 20-plus point scoring games also. Rob Krimmel is also looking forward to having redshirt senior Scott Meredith returning after missing his last season with an injury. Meredith is a sharpshooter who has connected on 59 career three-pointers. St. Francis begins the season against number 25 Virginia on Tuesday, November 5th, and opens at home against American on November 7th p.m. At 7 p.m., excuse me.
All right, let's talk about the men a little bit. Your thoughts on, again, Keith Braxton coming back, almost a double-double average, as you mentioned, 16 points a game, 9.8 rebounds per game, and fans, he just continues to really, you just scratch your head and wonder how he goes and gets some of these rebounds when he's undersized against a lot of players, and in the non-conference schedule against VCU, he's going to be undersized. We got Keith, we know that. We have Isaiah back. But the point guard spot, that's really important in basketball. Mm-hmm. We lose Jamal King. Your thoughts, Derek, going through this team, are they going to be able to fill that void with the departure of Jamal King? Because he was a leader of that
mm-hmm.
team.
I think they should do pretty well. Like you were saying, Keith is he may seem undersized, but he's one heck of a player, and I think he's truly a dog, and he really gets it done for the Flash team. So, it's on to the next man. People are going to graduate, mm-hmm. so I look forward to seeing this team play. So I don't think it will be that much of a weight on their shoulders to them. I think they just have to move forward and look towards the future. So. And
everybody in Loretto rooting for Isaiah Blackman. 2 ACLs, a player that has been dealt a bad hand injury-wise, but his resilience, he's demonstrated that, and it was great to see him just really come back in a big way last year and probably even play a more prominent role in the offense this year.
Yeah, definitely. To come back from 2 ACL surgeries is definitely an experience to have. He definitely loves the game and he's passionate, so I feel like that would make him a great player too. So those are pretty important aspects of a true athlete.
And let's quickly on the women's side, as we're approaching the end of the program, have won 12 NEC championships, have gone to the NCAA tournament 12 times, a small school power to be sure, and one of your classmates in a lot of classes, Haley Thomas, a player that can do a lot of different things well, earned all conference honors, 3rd-team honoree last year in the tournament, helped lead the team to the NEC championship, played at Robert Morris, couldn't quite get over the hump and pick up that 13th title. They have a new coach, probably be a little bit of a learning curve there as they adjust to the style, and you mentioned Coach Whittington is looking for the unit to play a little more defense this year.
Yeah, most definitely. The biggest thing with having a new coach and stuff is definitely the chemistry and how all the players are going to be working together. So if they can figure that out, then I think they will be pretty successful on the court. Like you said, we had 3 returners, and I feel like they have a pretty strong team. So
and they're looking for Fee Allen to step up and play a more prominent role this year. She got a lot of experience last year. Not a returning starter, but a player that got a lot of minutes and probably ready to assume a more significant role this year.
Yeah, she definitely brings the swag to the team. Always fresh. So, I mean, I think she'll be good for us. So.
Yeah, well, we're looking forward to seeing those 2 teams play. Like Derek said, as we're recording this, they are both underway in their games against VCU and Virginia Tech. Derek, get well. We wish you all the best. Report on your knee, and we're looking forward to seeing you out on the football field these last 3 games of the football team season.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, that'll do it for this edition of the Red Flash Sports Beat. I want to thank all our reporters, Hunter, Chris, Millie, Damian, Yo, Cam, Colin, and Derek, for giving us the updates on the Red Flash Sports Beat. And again, a reminder, get out for some of these upcoming competitions as the Flash fall sports teams wrap it up and the winter sports teams getting underway. This is Pat Farba saying good night, everybody.